Well, at the start of this game, if anyone mentioned there would be one bowler who'd be terrorizing the opposition with pace, you'd expect that name to be Lockie Ferguson. But small change, Lockie Ferguson is ruled out of the tournament with a calf tear. And at the other end, wearing green, Haris Rauf decides to produce his career best figures of 4 for 22 in his 4 overs to reduce New Zealand to 134 for 8. As we mentioned on Cricbuzz Combox, it seemed like a bit of a battle of chess in the first 10 overs with different teams trying different strategies. But at the end of it, it seemed to work far better for Pakistan than it did for New Zealand. Here we are on Cricbuzz Live, looking back at the first 20 overs, or the third set of 20 overs out of 4 for the day today, with Harsha Bhogle and Joy Bhattacharjya. Harsha, first reaction to the total. How many short do you reckon they are at this stage?
Loads. It's no total. Because you look at the last 7 overs, they had wickets in hand and they made 44. And was there something in the track that was making it difficult? Could have been, but with wickets in hand, if you're going 6 and over in the last 7 overs, then that's not good enough. I heard you say Lockie Ferguson. Yes, he's a very good bowler, but Haris Rauf is among the best in the world, bowling at the death. So you look at what happened here: 7, 6.44, 6.8. I was just looking down the overs, which is one of the best things on the app. Just go over by over. 3 overs produce 42 runs, right? Number 5, number 12, number 13. One from Shadab, one from Hafiz. But apart from that, they've gone at 5.4. So it's almost like, and it's a parallel I give very often, they ran a middle distance race, but there was no finishing kick. They just kept jogging all the way through to the end. So I think they've been outplayed so far, and they'll have to do something really dramatic to get Pakistan in trouble, because the bowlers are so good, aren't they, Joy? The bowlers are so good at giving the batsmen the target that is perfectly in their comfort zone. Don't have to rush around it. Babar Azam will play at his own pace. Don't have to worry. And that's the kind of target the bowlers have given them again.
No,
yeah, you just have a look at that, Joy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just thinking, how often would you find a card where Shadab Khan does not complete his quota? And that tells you a little bit about how well the others bowled. The first guy who got hammered for runs was Hassan Ali. He was collared right up front. He was the guy who gave 15. And then he comes back and he bowls a beautiful second spell. Basically, his last over that he bowled beautifully. They all came back. And what I liked about Babar Azam's captaincy was he knew that Shadab Khan was his gun bowler. But moment Hafiz had given 2 and he thought he could get one more of Hassan Ali, it didn't matter that one of his best bowlers didn't complete his quota, because that was not the job at hand. And that really reminds me of somebody like, this is a very MS Dhoni-esque kind of trip where, you don't know who will complete their quota or bowl on one particular day. But this Pakistan attack so far looks so good and so complete. It looks very complete to me.
But to be able to do that, Harsha, you need to have the options of the bowlers. You need to have an all-rounder like a Hafiz, like a Shoaib Malik, to even have that option.
Also, if you see what they've done, absolutely right. They go in with about 21, 22 overs. I don't think Hafiz is more than that. But 22 overs on a good day will give you a little bit more. But every player has a role defined. Shaheen Afridi will bowl 2 overs at the top, 1 in the middle, one at the end. Haris Rauf will bowl 1 at the top, keep as many as possible for the end. Hassan Ali 1 at the top, then he'll try and finish it off in between. But what neither India nor New Zealand could do was challenge that set pattern and say, okay, we'll challenge your plan so that you have to go and do something else. So the first 2 games have gone perfectly according to plan. It's not, we still have 20 overs left, but so far it's gone perfectly according to plan.
But since you say that, Harsha, New Zealand probably attempted to challenge it by sending out Daryl Mitchell and Neesham at 4.
Yes, and Mitchell, it worked for a while with Daryl Mitchell, but look what he's got. 27 of 20. He was the only person who has a strike rate above 120. You look at all the way down, Devon Conway, 27 of 24. And the only other person who had 120 is Mitch Santner, 6 of 5.
Yeah, that really tells you a story of how nobody really got going. One of the key wickets would have been Kane Williamson. We were talking on Cricbuzz Combox, Harsha. It was a very eventful Combox where we had, the moment we were about to finish, there was an appeal against him. He took the review. There was an inside edge, and then he hits a 4 and a 6, and we're saying, okay, Williamson's here, New Zealand are fine.
I know, but It's a little thing sometimes. Even with the no balls, they were not quite able to get away. I have a feeling the surface was not made for free stroking batting. And the one thing that could go in New Zealand's favor is if they have pace off bowlers, if there's still something in the track you can get stuck in, then maybe they can extend this. But this is just not enough.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. The two no balls, we remember, Joy, and they had impact players on strike. The second time, there was Glenn Phillips on strike, and here you're thinking, okay, his innings hasn't kicked off. He's the kind of player on a different track who would have smoked it for six and said, okay, now watch me.
No, absolutely. And some of them, how he came back with an absolutely perfect Yorker in one of them, and in the single in the other. 2 runs of 2 free hits is something that you don't see in a game very often. 2 no balls you don't see that often now, but just 2 runs of 2 free hits is just amazing. And I think that's what the fielding. That was never the strength of Pakistan. Pakistan has never been regarded as a great fielding side, and the fielding today was pretty much up to par. I mean, the fielding was very good at places, average at places, but it never looked poor. And Pakistan have so often in the past let themselves down in the field. So there are huge changes out here. Those are things that are really encouraging for them. And if their batting unit, knits together even at close to what their bowling unit has done, then this is a formidable side, very formidable side. Because it's very difficult to judge the batting unit just on the basis of one performance.
Yeah, a couple of slip-ups. You saw one from Asif Ali, which was routine going through his legs. But that run out by Hassan Ali almost rewarded him with an extra over after that, because he still had leaked a few runs. But it's not the kind you normally see from them. It's the kind you see from a Ravindra Jadeja.
But he's a fantastic athlete, though. Hassan Ali is an all-round cricketer, and I think he's going to benefit from the fact that people will try and attack him, because you may not be able to attack any of the others. So that creates an opportunity for Hassan Ali. But yeah, that run out was fantastic. But I know what Joy is saying. We used to see a lot of that before. So there's something about this Pakistan side. The only thing I mean, from their point of view, they'd like to get stretched a little bit today. If I was sitting as a Pakistan fan, as a Pakistan supporter, I'd like them to win 4 wickets down, so that they're getting stretched a little bit. If they win 9 wickets again, then it means the middle order is not getting exposed. Exactly what was happening to India in the Champions Trophies at the 2019 World Cup. 4, 5, 6 were just not getting enough tough game time. And after this game, they're unlikely to, other than the game against Afghanistan, which is a good bowling side, they're unlikely to get a tough game again. So if I was a Pakistan fan, I actually like my team to win, but I'd like my team to be 30 for 1, 50 for 2, 70 for 3, and then take it from there.
I mean, we all tend to think like that, not just from Pakistan's perspective. When it happens to India, we keep talking about, as Harsha referred to, Joy, that 2019 World Cup, that if only numbers 4, 5, and 6 realized they were actually
number
playing
4's come again.
before the
number 4
semi-final. But I'm not sure fans, Joy, see it like that. I mean, if you asked a hardcore Pakistan fan, he'd be like, no, we want another 10-wicket win. Thank you very much. Number 3, Fakhar Zaman is going to sit and forget what he has to do.
No, but whenever I think of Pakistani fitness, I just, the things that of course, social media is so big now. I just think of the meme of that Pakistani spectator, that interview with him afterwards and what their diet is. And I think it's fantastic that in 2 years, the players have turned it around. They look fit, active, hungry to win. And I'm really happy for them. Now, if only some of their ex-cricketers would shut up, I'd really get behind this side too.
But this is their best format. So bowling was never an issue. The arrival of Babar Azam has changed everything, because otherwise you had someone else opening the batting. There was never a great opening combination there. The arrival of the maturing of Babar Azam into a world-class player has made this difference. But I mean, who's going to do it? If for New Zealand to do it, they've got to get Trent Bolt with the new ball to do something. If they don't get the new ball working for them, I think they'll struggle.
Yeah, I think that was going to be my last question, to try and see what can New Zealand do differently. When you've got less runs on the board, you've got to pull something out of the bag. They don't have a Lockie Ferguson who can maybe do a Haris Rauf. So who can be that bowler, Joy, for you? Spinners will have to do something, maybe a magical spell from Ish Sodhi.
I think, look, Ish Sodhi will come into action if the game has not gone beyond it in the first 6. Then maybe, if they get 40 odd in the first 6, maybe somebody like an Ish Sodhi can do something. But Ish Sodhi needs something to happen before that. If they reach that stage at 55 for no loss, it's very difficult for anyone with the target of 134. It's very difficult for anyone to pull you really back, because then what you can afford to do is just play you around for singles. Because the moment you're over 7-14 means there are big gaps in the field. If the asking is just 6, 6.5, 7, or even 7.5, you'll just play singles of anyone who you think is a threat. So they need, if Ish Sodhi needs to fire, somebody else needs to squeeze the runs or get a couple of wickets up front.
Dilemma, last 20 seconds on the show. The dilemma for Pakistan will be, yes, we'd like to get some runs with a harder ball, but because it's a small total, we don't need to go too hard. So what's an average kind of mindset for a 6-over total in the power play?
Anything. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what the power play score is. As long as they've not lost wickets, it doesn't matter what the score is. Because look, they need to go at 6 point something, right?
6.7.
It doesn't matter what the power play score is. I mean, I'm fairly certain that they wouldn't mind being a very simple 38 for no loss. Power plays, it suits them perfectly fine. I mean, I'm not saying it will be. I'm saying it suits them fine.
Suits them fine. Fair enough. We'll take an average score of that and see if that's where they are. The key for Pakistan, wickets in hand. The key for New Zealand, well, it's the opposite, to try and take wickets, because they're not going to be able to defend this total just in terms of runs. That's all we have on Cricbuzz Live. Just a quick reminder that we will be back in the 10th over on Cricbuzz Combox. Let's see if Pakistan haven't done something ridiculous and almost got to that total. Otherwise, we'll just have one show to wrap up the entire day. For now, we'll see you in the 10th over. That's all from Cricbuzz Live.